Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick off today's story with an empowering twist. ROP, a young woman of color in her mid-20s, finds herself in a workplace where superficial judgments often outweigh merit. Despite delivering perfect work and shouldering significant responsibilities, she's been repeatedly overlooked for promotions. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. When told to dress up, I suited up and got my promotion. I'm a young woman of color who looks like she's in high school but is actually in her mid-20s. I have one major example of malicious compliance, as I've been with my current science consulting role at a boutique firm since graduating college. Most of the people at my company have a PhD and/or MS, even though this is completely unnecessary for the job. I do not come from a science background, so this does not benefit me either. It's a bizarre situation, as I'm given much more responsibility than many people who are older and more educated and higher in the company than me. Management clearly does not want someone who looks like me to be a leader at the company, but they give me the responsibilities of someone higher up without the title and compensation. I've been given several reasons as to why I was not being promoted as quickly as others. Side note, I've been promoted several times. My issue is that I'm doing more than others in terms of workload and responsibility, and I'm not being compensated for it properly per my current job description. I have just as much/more responsibility than many people above me, and am being treated by a different standard. Before my most recent promotion, which took 2 years to get, my previous supervisor, also a woman of color but older and with a PhD, told me that I was being treated differently by higher-ups at my company based on my age, gender, and lack of education. Although my work product was perfect, she said that I was being judged on how I appeared at first and interacted with coworkers. Even though I have friendly relationships with all colleagues, she likely meant that I was too outgoing. She said she wanted to perform an experiment with me. She said that maybe I would be promoted if I started putting more effort into my appearance. Side note, I'm a confident, charismatic person who, respectfully, does not need to put on any more effort into her appearance. And even if I did, it's not her or anyone's effing business. She said I should wear tighter clothing. So I maliciously complied out of spite. I went from business casual attire that was the standard at my office to full-on business attire. I also never wore makeup to work and wore a full face of makeup every day for months. While others wore athletic t-shirts, sneakers, and hoodies, I wore dress shirts/dress pants and pantsuits. My pastel-colored pantsuit really caught people's attention, and people would continually ask, "Are you going somewhere with a client?" I would always reply, "No, I receive feedback that I need to put more effort into my appearance." That shut everybody up real quick. My former supervisor apologized after a week and said she shouldn't have said that. I kept up the act out of malice for a few weeks after, and I got the promotion a few months later. P.S. I know this is a massive HR violation, among many others not discussed above. I do not have an in-house HR rep, and my company contracts a third party. I'm afraid of retaliation, and I don't want to report anything because it'll make my job worse than it already is. I know my worth, and I've been job searching for over a year since this occurred. I'm approaching the final stages of interviews for several positions. First of all, good for you. This is amazing and a good excuse to get dolled up. Silver linings. But one thing I noticed is that high-quality performers tend to be held in more scrutiny than mid or low performers. It's like management gave up on the others, and those of us that succeed get reprimanded for petty things other people get away with all the time. Your manager sucks, and you will get the job that recognizes your quality of work. And our second story. When security thought I was sneaking into my own job. This happened 4 years ago when I was starting my senior year of college. I started working at this really popular bar at my university as a cook, fresh out of a crappy catering job. It was the beginning of the school year and thus the beginning of college football season. I was ecstatic because I'd just turned 21 a week after I started there, and I got free drinks as well. As dumb as that statement is, this is important later. About 3 weeks into the job, our college had their first home game, and as usual, the entire university is absolute pandemonium between traffic and everyone and their mother heading for the restaurants before the game. My shift started after the game, so I started heading to the bar around that afternoon. Remember when I said the bar was popular? There was a line of like 16 or 18 half-drunk college students waiting outside the door to get in while a bored-looking security guard took their IDs. Seeing as how I was new here, I wasn't sure what to expect on a game day or how busy it was. Normally, I'd use the back entrance to get to work, but the entire back lot, and by extension, the back entrance, was blocked off to be used as a party area / dance floor, so the front entrance was my only option. I started making my way to the front entrance to walk through when all of a sudden the guard stopped me. This woman had that permanent scowl of someone who doesn't get paid enough to deal with drunks, along with that attitude. Guard, where the hell do you think you're going? Me, I work here. My shift is starting. Guard, nice try. Now get in line. Me, ma'am, I'm not kidding. I actually work here. Guard, you got any ID or badge that proves it? Probably worth noting that I didn't even have a uniform. The cooks wear dish shirts over regular clothes. Me, here, hands over ID. Guard, okay, you're 21. Still ain't gonna let you skip the line unless you prove you work here. Me, getting irritated. Look, can I just get the manager or something so he can prove it? Guard, you see this line? It ain't going anywhere. If you want in, y'all gonna have to wait in line. At this point, the students are getting PO'd at me, supposedly holding the line up. I'm getting PO'd because I can't even go to work without being late, and I was running out of options. That's when I realized I was late, but that turned out to be my saving grace. My manager, Chris, called me around that moment. Chris, OP, are you almost here? Me, I'm actually here, but security's not letting me in. Chris, oh, for F. Give me a sec. He hung up and came outside a second later. He chewed out the guard for not even attempting to check with him to see if I was telling the truth and making me late, and he got me into the bar to start working. Chris and I had a good laugh about me getting carded to go to work and the fact that this would have been a lot more complicated if I didn't turn 21 a couple weeks before. Good times. I understand that she was just doing her job, but geez, overzealous much? Did she not think that staff would be coming through the door themselves, considering the usual way was blocked off? But if you really think about it, it's partly Chris's fault as well. He should give his employees some sort of ID for exactly these situations. Security can't abandon their post for everyone who pretends to be staff. And our last story. Karen threatened my car. I called the tow truck. I live in a masonette in the UK, part of a 4-in-a-block setup, parking strictly on street, and there's no reserve spaces. I'd recently gotten my driver's license and was sharing my parents' insurance to keep costs down. That's where this saga begins. One of my neighbors, Karen, because of course she's a Karen, has a reputation in the area. She's a nightmare driver. She's written off at least 2 cars in a few years, and she's notorious for fly tipping. Her garden is piled with abandoned rubbish, and she's blocked our fire escape more than once. One day, I parked my car outside the house in a perfectly legal spot. Within minutes, Karen screeched up behind me, blaring her horn like a madwoman. Karen, oi, move your bloody car, that's my space. I opened my door, stunned at her audacity. Me, it's on-street parking, Karen, no one owns a specific spot. She wasn't having it. She marched right up to me, face red and twisted with fury. Karen, if you don't move it right now, I'll smash your car up. I locked the doors, muttered something about her needing to chill, and went inside. From the window, I watched her park her car so close to mine that the bumpers were nearly kissing. Then she brought her second car, she owns 2, and boxed me in from the front. My paint job wasn't safe either. She left scratches and dents as a parting gift. This went on for weeks. She either parked her 2 cars across 4 spaces or wedged mine in so tightly I couldn't move. It was petty, infuriating, and exhausting. For the record, I own my property while she's a renter. This means I have parking passes and priority over her, but trying to reason with her was like arguing with a brick wall. I'd had enough. One night, I decided to look up the MOT status of her cars using an online tool. Car number 1, fine. Car number 2, expired MOT. Jackpot! In the UK, a car with an expired MOT isn't road legal and it can't be on public land. I had exactly what I needed. The next morning, I called the council. Me. Hi, I'd like to report an abandoned vehicle outside my house. Its MOT is expired and it's parked on restricted public property. They thanked me and said they'd pass it on to the police. That wasn't enough for me, though. I also phoned her landlord and reported the state of her back garden, specifically the mountain of rubbish blocking our fire escape. The landlord came by the next day, took one look at the mess, and promised to investigate. He hinted that her lease might be in jeopardy if she didn't sort it out. Karen, oblivious to the storm brewing around her, decided to move the car with the expired MOT. Unfortunately for her, she didn't take it to private property. It just ended up in another public car park around the corner. I reported it again, this time with photos proving the car had moved. The council didn't waste any time. They slapped a bright yellow sticker on the car, warning the owner to contact them immediately. It was now officially flagged as abandoned. A few days later, I woke up to find another notice taped to the car. It stated that if the owner didn't respond within 7 days, the vehicle would be towed and crushed. Oh, and it listed a fine, $1,872.82. Karen finally noticed the notice. A few days later, she stormed out to inspect the ticket and started shouting obscenities at no one in particular. Karen, this is bloody harassment. I'll take this to court. She didn't, of course. Instead, she ignored the deadline and the inevitable happened. A tow truck showed up, hooked her car up, and prepared to haul it away. That's when Karen completely lost it. Karen, you can't take my car. This is illegal. I'm calling the police. The tow truck driver, unfazed, called the police himself. By the time they arrived, Karen was in full meltdown mode. Officer, ma'am, this vehicle's being removed due to an expired MOT and outstanding fines. If you don't calm down, we'll have to take further action. Karen didn't calm down. She screamed at the officer, the tow truck driver, and even my house, claiming it was all my fault. The result, her car was towed, she received an ASBO, antisocial behavior order, and her landlord put her on a final warning for breaching her tenancy agreement. Her other car now stays far away from mine, and the fly tipping is miraculously stopped. Safe to say, Karen won't be threatening me or my car again. OP, you played this beautifully. You didn't stoop to her level. You went full lawful revenge mode, and the results were glorious. The MOT check was a stroke of genius. Karen thought she could keep bullying you with her reckless driving and parking antics, but she clearly underestimated your ability to fight back. Reporting her expired MOT to the council was not only satisfying, but completely justified. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.